Hey everybody, Micah Mitchell here, and I am with a special guest, Michael Hunter of GoSpiffy. And Mike and I have been friends for a little while now, but he has kind of an interesting background that I didn't know the first time I talked to him. I just thought, oh, he's a software guy or whatever, but he's got a great marketing background. And today we get to dive into how he runs his software kind of as a membership site and some of the parallels between the two. So Michael, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Micah. Thanks for having me, man. Excited to share some info with some peeps.
Yeah, of course, man. I'm excited too. This is gonna be fun. So, why don't we start off with you just giving a little bit of a background about yourself, what you've done, and where you're at today.
Awesome. Well, so I've been an entrepreneur since I was 17 years old. I've started a bunch of different businesses, but about 7 years ago, I started an online marketing company helping small business owners market online. It was actually right when Facebook opened up their platform for businesses, and you could actually create a page. So that was an area where, our generation has had a lot of experience with social media, and I felt I could add a lot of value to business owners, and quickly realized that small businesses needed a lot more help with marketing than just with social media. They needed help with email marketing, with their website, with marketing strategy in general. So we kind of developed a full service marketing company, and then quickly niched down into working with authors, speakers, coaches, and personal brands. And for the last 3 years, we've been working with some of the biggest personal brands in the industry, and we're actually running all of Brendon Burchard's marketing for 2 full years, kind of as an outsourced CMO role. So when it comes to running big product launches, book launches, anything as it relates to marketing automation and successful marketing campaigns, we've pretty much done it all the way from Facebook ads to creating new products to launching those products out into the world with sales copy, messaging, all that crazy stuff. And obviously thought leaders, one of the ways that they monetize their knowledge is through membership sites. So we're constantly, helping people navigate those waters and, sending people over to Memberium, because Memberium is our favorite tool when it comes to building online courses for thought leaders, experts, and really for any type of online course.
Well, thank you for saying that. I'll slip you a 20 a little later.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, that's why I say the first time I talked to you, I was aware of you in the space, but like I said, I saw you as, these are the guys who created GoSpiffy, which for people on the call who don't know, that's the leading, order form designer for Infusionsoft. So Infusionsoft has order forms, but GoSpiffy makes them amazing, and we use your product as well. But then when I got talking to you, and since then as we've talked, that's when I learned about this whole other background that you have. So that's why I'm excited to have you on the call. We could talk about software all day, but just the fact that you're at the top of the market in leading these big info products and stuff, I think there's a lot to share. So
yeah, and that's how Spiffy really came about, was because all of our customers were using Infusionsoft. We were Infusionsoft partners. I actually used to work for Infusionsoft back in the day. And, so all of our big clients, they're doing these big multi-million-dollar launches, product launches, and they needed a great looking mobile optimized order form. So my business partner, Jeremy Abraham, and I, we were spending so much time custom coding Infusionsoft order forms, where we realized how big of a pain point it was for customers. And one day I just turned to Jeremy and I was just like, dude, there's got to be a way to productize, this template that we've created that kind of did all the mobile optimization stuff. So we had a good starting point, but it still took us 10 hours to custom develop these order forms for our clients. It was just, absolutely ridiculous. So, so our Spiffy was kind of born out of a pain point from the service side of our business.
Gotcha. Yeah. And it's been interesting to talk to a couple software developers who have that similar situation. And I was talking to one recently and he said, you should not, he wasn't, I guess, recommending this, but he was saying one idea, and he talks to people who do this. And he said, so does that mean you can make all the software development you get done, you can turn into a product? And I kind of said, well, no, it's only the ones that you really want to support forever, because it's a lot of ongoing work, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's kind of software is just like any type of business, like when you're first getting started out, if you really knew how hard it was, you probably wouldn't have started doing it. Right. So it's just one of those things where, you have to create, whether it's a membership site, whether it's a brick and mortar business, whether it's a software company, it has to be around a topic that you're passionate about, because that initial spark of motivation and passion will wane, and you have to have something, deeper, some deeper rooted motivation to keep you going when you start hitting some of those challenges and those obstacles.
Yeah, for sure. And you guys, I want to explain something and you can help fill in any gaps here. So your software is actually inside a membership site. So basically people are logging in just like a member, but instead of accessing content, they're getting access to your tool, right?
Exactly. So when we built Spiffy, we wanted to find the quickest path to cash and create a minimum viable product with the least amount of upfront development possible. And so obviously, whenever you're using a software product that you're paying for, you tend to have a login page and you have a dashboard and you have essentially this whole gated system of an application where, again, you have to log in and then you have access to the tool. Very much, very, very similar to a membership site, right? You have to log in to access the content. And since we were developing developing Spiffy to work with the Infusionsoft order forms, Memberium was a perfect tool to help us get our software company jump started. And I believe, I think we did an interview maybe like a year or two ago, and I think we were the very first Memberium customer to use Memberium for a software product. And those business models are very, very similar. And through Memberium's API capabilities, and don't want to get too technical or scare anyone away, but like through the customization that you can do just through the Memberium API, it allowed us to have a huge head start, and we didn't have to develop all that on our own from scratch. So a lot of the same functionality and convenience that Memberium provides for membership sites as far as tagging is concerned and updating your billing information, invoices, things of that nature, all for a membership site, those are all same functionalities and features that you want to have for a software product too. So we just, same exact business model as far as paying a monthly subscription to get access to content, and our content just happens to be a tool. So that's kind of how we got started with Spiffy, and super, super grateful for what you guys, have done. And you kind of helped us, help pave the path for us to, drive down that road a little bit faster than we otherwise would have been able to.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear it. And you guys, I know, have done really well. I know most people are now using Spiffy. Anybody who goes beyond the normal stuff, it's just a simple decision because, and I'll only talk about this for a minute and then I want to draw some parallels to membership sites, but your platform not only makes the order forms look good, they're, mobile responsive, mobile friendly in a number of ways, but the interface in your platform is amazing. Just the other day I went in because I had to update one and I was like, crap, I'm going to have to go through this whole mess because I used to custom code those order forms and it's a pain. But I went into Spiffy again and I was like, oh, it's like a simple WYSIWYG drag and drop, like click and edit. It's beautiful. And I know you've got another version that has even more coming out, but yeah, I just want to commend you on that. And anybody using Infusionsoft should check it out. Let's basically make some relations here between running a software company and a membership site, because you've worked on a lot of membership sites. I want to throw you a couple curveballs here. So
yeah,
what's like the biggest mistake? And you don't have to say who it was for, but what's a huge mistake in your mind that maybe has happened when building a membership site? Something you wouldn't do again?
Yeah, I mean, so we've kind of alluded to at the beginning, we've worked with people that are just getting started building their first membership site, and people that are pros that have built 20 different membership sites over their career. And so we've seen both ends of the spectrum. And I think the biggest mistake that we see people make is trying to jam pack all of their information into a single course. And when you do that, it makes it hard to structure. It makes it confusing to lay out. It becomes this daunting task to where you actually never even start to create your course because it's so, such a big project. So one is the scope of the content for the online course is too great. They're trying to jam pack too much information into a course. The course landscape has changed. I know, Micah, you know this. But things are moving towards a results-oriented online course structure where like they don't care whether the online course is 1 hour of content or 15 hours of content or 100 hours of content. They just care that you are making the process of getting them from where they are to where they want to go as streamlined and as efficient as possible. And if you can get somebody a result that nets them an ROI of $10,000, whether that's actual hard money or savings of time or, reducing headache, reducing friction in their business, whatever that is, if you can get a result for a business owner or for your target market that's worth $10,000 for them, and it only takes you an hour of training, it's more like it's not about it only being an hour of training. It's about the value that you provide. So I just see too many people getting hung up in one, creating a course that's too big, and then having perfectionist syndrome. And the creation of an online course is very, very similar to the creation of a software company. And I would highly encourage anybody that's kind of in that beginning phases of creating an online course to go read books on how to create a successful, lean startup software company. And essentially one of the things that we talk a lot about, and we actually are doing some consulting with other people that are wanting to get into the software space. It's kind of a metaphor that we use is you're looking to build a Ferrari, right? A Ferrari is like the idealistic version of your software or of your membership site. But the best way of tackling that task or going after eventually building your Ferrari is to build a skateboard first. Too many people try to start building the engine of their Ferrari first, and then they start building, the interior, and then they start building the wheel. But then they realize they don't have a steering wheel, and then they start to build the steering wheel but break the wheel. They start to try and build this perfect version of what they want that never actually gets the result for their customer. Their customer is trying to get from point A to point B, and rather trying to build the Ferrari first to get them from point A to point B in style and as fast as possible, just building the skateboard. It might take a little bit longer. It might not be as pretty. It might not be as attractive, but it's still going to get them from point A to point B. So the point being is that when you're building your membership site, make it simple. Don't overthink it. It doesn't need to be super high production. You're sharing your information. You're sharing your knowledge. You're sharing your expertise. You're helping people get from where they are to where they want to go. So just get started, start making money, and then reinvest into your course, and then do the high budget, high production, trick it out. So I know it was probably a little bit longer of an explanation than you wanted or were expecting, but that's kind of my thought process.
It's perfect. Like that's just gospel right there. And I want to point out two things in there. One, when you were talking about volume, it reminds me a long time ago, I got a direct mail piece and I spent $2,000 on this program because it said, and this is like 13, 14 years ago, but it said, over 500 hours of transcripts and interviews. And, 13 or 14 years ago, that seemed valuable. Like the volume seemed valuable. Just this morning, seriously, like 2 hours ago, I was going to buy something and then it said 80 plus hours of recorded content. And I thought, I'm never going to go through 80 hours of content. Like, no, and I didn't buy it because it was bigger. If it would have said like 20 or 30, I would have probably bought the same thing because I want the result, the benefits on the page and whatnot was like, okay, I like that, but the volume, I was out of there. So that's one thing, the volume that you pointed out that I think, makes perfect sense. And a lot of people do get hung up on that. And the other is, I love that analogy, the skateboard versus the Ferrari, because a lot of people, especially I think probably for us where we do software, where you do marketing consulting and things like that, people are tempted to say, well, I saw so-and-so site and they're doing this and I want to do that same thing. And I saw this other guy and they're doing this and I want to do that same thing. And I want to combine it all together for my, and it's like, slow down, So I love that analogy. And for those of you listening, I can tell you that we did that exact thing when we developed Memberium. I know Mike did that with Spiffy. And even recently I launched my own membership site. And if you go there today, there is no community. So I mean, we know the best practices. We know a community is a good thing, but I didn't start with it. I didn't even start with gamification. There's no badges, there's no points, there's no certifications. And it's such a valuable point that you make of, yeah, you got to start somewhere, and you're not going to start with a Ferrari. So
Yeah,
I love it.
absolutely. I mean, we started Spiffy. There wasn't even a login for our customers to log in and access their application. Everything would, Jeremy would log into the database, create their account, and we'd send them their code snippet for their order form. So it's like this, like the basic functionality of a software company is that you have a place where your customer can log in and access the app. We didn't even have that, and we were making sales. So that's the other thing too, is like you have this illusion that your customer wants this super highly polished, intro, outro to every single video, and that your membership site needs to be, super optimized for mobile, right out of the gates. And like you were saying, yes, all those are best practices. And yes, you do want to have all those pieces, but they shouldn't be the barrier to you generating revenue online. Start scrappy, have that scrappy mentality, get your information out there and iterate and improve upon what you've already created and what's already generating revenue. Because we see this a lot. There's a lot of times when people create a course on a topic or a subject, or they're just talking about it and they're trying to sell it in the wrong way. And they ultimately spend all this time creating something that's not optimized to sell. Like either it's not solving a solution that people are actively looking for and willing to pay for, or they're just talking about it the wrong way, and they're even getting the offer in front of the right people, and it's definitely something that they need, but like it's just not resonating with them. So like you don't want to spend all this time developing something that you're not even sure is going to sell in the first place.
Yeah, and I love. I think even though it's software, so I hope people don't get distracted by the software thing. I love that your first version was, well, what do they really want and need? They really want and need a snippet of code in their order form that makes it look this way. How they get there, they don't really care about. Like, yeah, you can make it better, but I think it's the same case with membership sites. What do they want? They want to stop smoking, or they want to grow their business, or they want to, whatever it is, they do not care. I mean, you'll occasionally get somebody, like we had somebody who bought and canceled Memberium the other day, and they said, oh, well, the user experience in the software just isn't up to 2018 standards, and I'm thinking, one, I'm not sure what that means, but two, that one guy of thousands isn't going to make me stop everything and go focus on user experience versus the core value that people are really looking for. And I'm sure you feel the same way, even though I feel like your guys' aesthetics are amazing. Your user experience has gotten so much better, but I love that, like you said, it started with the basics. And I think most membership site owners, they don't realize that. They take part in these big launches where everybody's mailing for some guy and they're like, oh, he's friends with everybody, it must be amazing. And you go in and it is good. But if you look at that guy 5 years ago when he was starting, that wasn't the case,
Absolutely. Yeah. That's one big thing that everybody has to struggle with it to some extent, regardless of what level you're at. But especially when you're getting started, you can't compare somebody's front stage to your backstage. And that's kind of a concept that, I believe I learned from Brendon Burchard. And it's like, you're looking at somebody's front stage, their highlight reel of what could be 5, 10, 20 years of them grinding it out, building their expertise, building their team. You're looking at the 5th version of their website, and you're trying to start at their 20-year mark on your day one, right? And you're looking at, your messy desk, or you're looking at, how, not clear you are on the content of your course, and everybody seems to have it all figured out. But you're not comparing apples to apples. You're comparing their end product to your foundation phase, their front stage of 20 years of building their business to, year one of your business. So yeah, it's easy to get discouraged. It's easy to overcomplicate things. And again, like there are best practices that you want to adhere to and try to incorporate, but don't let those get in the way of getting a product out there. One thing that we teach, and it's been said by a lot of people over the years, but the number one reason why people don't make money online is because they're not getting an offer in front of people. So it doesn't matter how great or how much neuroscience and psychology and adult learning theory is going into your online course. If it's taking you 5 years to build, nobody's actually accessing it. It'd be much better to not overthink it. create a scrappy version of your course, get an offer in front of people, start generating revenue, and then, as you're generating revenue, build that Ferrari with all that adult learning theory and neuroscience and psychology and checklists and follow-up tools and gamification and all that type of stuff. So, like all that stuff is wicked cool, but that's pro level Major League Baseball, and you're coming into your first day of high school baseball trying to compete with the major leagues.
Yeah, and I want to say one more thing about this before we move on to another question, because I think you and I are both really passionate about this and could keep going.
Yeah.
I'll also say that another thing can happen when you launch your minimum viable product, and that's that it can fail miserably. And that's a good thing, because you didn't overbuild a giant thing and then let it fail miserably. So for those of you out there, I can't emphasize this enough, and this is at the core of some of our teaching as well, just like Mike's saying, like build that skateboard first, start small. So moving on, kind of on the opposite end of that question, what are some of the things that you would say the most successful kind of info marketers or membership site owners have in common?
That's a really good question. The first thing that comes to mind is kind of in the same vein of what we were talking about. It's having a results-oriented content process or content flow, that the course is designed to get a specific result. It strips out all of the decision making from the from the customer, from the person going through the course, from the student, and gives them a single path to take to get to success. So for example, if you're helping people build an online course, or if you're helping teach people how to generate revenue online, don't create a module that is talking about tech tools or marketing automation, and don't give them 5 different tools to choose from. Give them 2 tools to choose from. Hey, if you're just getting started out and you have a small budget, use ActiveCampaign. If you want to create a tool if you want a tool that's going to do a lot of advanced marketing stuff, and you have a business that's already generating revenue, and you want to play at a little bit higher level, get Infusionsoft. Like, make it so simple for them so that they know exactly where they fit, and they don't have to go down the wormhole of what software platform should I use. So like, create a single path that people can take to get from point A to point B. Make all the decisions for them based off of your expertise. They're looking to you as the expert, so help them make those decisions, guide them down the path. And that's what I've seen be very, very successful, because with an online course, the most effective way of building the community is word of mouth. And obviously it helps generate sales, but it's what also builds a community. And somebody that does a really good job of this is Marie Forleo. People that go through B School, I haven't personally gone through B School, but I'm a fan of Marie's work, and I know a lot of people that have. Like, they're avid fans of Marie Forleo and B School, and they have a great community. They support each other, and that's just priceless, is to have that community aspect. And the way that you have that community and the way you generate word of mouth is that you get people results. You don't benefit from having that 80-hour long course, right? If nobody's going through it and nobody's getting results. Micah, you probably didn't tell anybody to go buy that course if you didn't get any result from it. And maybe you did get a result from it. But the point being is that if it's too hard to access the value in the course, people aren't going to get a result. Nobody's going to talk about it, and people are going to have more of a negative feeling around the course.
So I love that. And one thing I want to dive deeper into is, you mentioned one path. And that's something that as soon as you said it, I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. I feel like a lot of people, myself included, get stuck in the, even if you're disciplined enough to choose an avatar, then it's like, well, Mr. Avatar, we know you're very specific to us and we can serve you. You can go this way or this way or this way or this way. And here's all these options. And I feel like I'm educating them. But really, yeah, they want to be led, right?
Yep, exactly. And I think one other avenue is that people that build successful courses aren't afraid to just point people in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
And all these things are kind of intertwined between having too much content, helping people get results. So in that example, you can educate them and say, hey, if you want this, this, and this, go this direction, go that direction, or go this direction. But for this course, we're here to create value and results for you. So this is the path that we're taking. So like you can still add value, educate them, and send them down the right path. I mean, think about, I'm sure everybody has had a conversation with a friend or a mentor who's recommended a book, and that book had a big impact in your life or the way that you think about things moving forward. They didn't sit there, they didn't teach you all the principles in the book or read the book to you, but that person still added value to your life just by simply making a recommendation, and you took the action and went and, and found that value. So don't be afraid to send people that way. And even since you did all the work, you went to the store, you bought the book, you read the book, you still have admiration for that mentor just for the recommendation, right? So like you still get that credit for recommending that value, or you're still associated with the lessons that you learned from that book, even though that person didn't teach you that lesson directly, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. And I think when you're talking about the community stuff too, the more specific the person making the course is, the more like-minded the community members are probably going to be, rather than all on different paths. So I think it's really powerful. It's like a kind of a unifying concept in these things. So, and I love that, I didn't expect you to, but I imagine some listeners, when I said, well, what's the commonality? It wasn't like, well, they're all using Infusionsoft or whatever. It's really not, right? They have kind of a concept, or they understand something and are serving in a specific way. So what's another commonality? So we talked about, they're specific. They know what they want to teach, and they point people in that direction. They're not afraid to make the recommendation. We talked about community. Is there anything else that comes to mind?
When it comes to a successful online course, people that really have the most successful communities and the most rabid fans have a live event component to what they do. Brendon Burchard, Marie Forleo, Jeff Walker, Frank Kern. All of them have live events that they do. Obviously Frank doesn't do live events as much anymore, but B School, like Marie Forleo, she does one launch a year and she has one event a year. So, and literally that live event is what solidifies your community. It takes those online relationships and makes them real relationships, real in-life relationships. And friends are created out of that. Partnerships are created out of that. And they're just, I personally think that if you are in this for the long game and you're creating a world-class online course, one of the best things you can do is have a live event component to it. So I know that's a little bit more on like best practices for business and not really like the tactics and the nuances of an online course. But like, as you were saying, it's really not about the technology. It's really not about the tools you're using. There's a lot of things that we could dig into when it comes to creating the offer for your membership site and bonuses and things of that nature. So I don't know if you want to go into all that type of stuff, but it's more of like copywriting and structuring your offer and things of that nature. But when it comes to just having a purely amazing membership site, it's literally just having a lot of your content based on a framework. So making sure that your content is organized and easy to follow. And again, a lot of these things are super rudimentary, but that's honestly what drives success. It's what drives success in business. It's what drives success with a marketing funnel. It's what drives success with a membership site. Keeping it simple, making it easy to follow, creating systems, and getting people results.
Yeah, and it makes me think of a question I was asked recently. They said, why does Infusionsoft have such a strong community and such rabid fans? And, some people love Infusionsoft, some people don't. It's not for everybody, but they do have a great community. And after thinking about it for a minute, I was like, I think it was Icon. I think it was because they had an annual event and they got people together and they formed relationships. I met you, I'm pretty sure, at an Icon for the first time.
Yeah.
And it really does solidify that community. So, you were saying maybe it's not specifically membership site advice, But I would say it definitely is. For anyone with a membership site, what else do you have besides your content, which is what an event's about, your community, and I totally agree. In fact, we did a live event. We've done a couple, but at the last one, I was talking about the more tactical aspects of live events. So I was kind of talking with the audience about, why is a live event valuable? You get to record content, blah, blah, blah. One of the guys said, and he understood what you understand. And I, at the time, was just missing it. But he said, well, it creates raving fans. He said, I liked you guys. I liked your support. I liked your software. But now I love you guys. I'm going to tell everyone about you just because he's in the audience. It's not even like I did something specific for him. But yeah, bringing people together is huge. So no, yeah. I love that.
And obviously you can build relationships online, but Micah, if we hadn't met in person the 5 or 6 times that we've hung out at different events, Icon, PartnerCon, et cetera, like we would just have a completely different relationship. When you meet somebody in person and you break bread, you have meals together, you share, have drinks together, you have good conversations. There's just a deeper level of trust, friendship, and it's like, even if you're not best buddies in the entire world, like you just have a better understanding, and it's just basic human connection, right? You're going to have a far more deeper connection with the person on stage if you're at a live event versus watching a video online. So yeah, 100% agree. Mike, I can't hear you right now. I think you might be muted.
Oh yeah, sorry. Thank you. Since you did mention, I do want to get a little bit tactical for a second, just because you're such an expert in this. So for someone wanting to structure their courses, because this comes up so often, let's say they have a body of content, and we can talk about different sizes of content or curriculum, but do you recommend that they start off with just a course, or do you like to say, well, let's splinter some out for a Tripwire and have a main course and have an upsell? What are some of your general kind of thoughts and recommendations for that stuff?
The ultimate answer is that it really depends on your target market. And I know that's, a lot of people use that as a cop-out, but it's oftentimes a lot easier to sell a course that is $1,000 or $2,000 than it is to sell a $50 course, especially if you're promising to make somebody more money or saving somebody a lot of time. You're like, well, the course is only $50. Like, how much time could that actually save me versus something that's $1,000? So like price point can have something to do with it. But at the same time, if you are selling an online course to entrepreneurs, or you're selling an online course to business owners, or how to make money online, you can command a lot higher fee than somebody in the personal fitness space. So price point is a big differentiation, a differentiating factor between industries. I am personally not a fan of tripwires specifically, but they are really, really effective if you are running ads and running paid advertising. And the point of that being is that you're able to recoup some of your advertising costs immediately versus having to wait 7, 10, 15, 30 days for people to kind of go through your nurture sequence and see your offer for your course. When it comes to upsells, absolutely 100% add upsells to your membership course. And there's a right way and a wrong way to do that, because you don't want to upsell something that really should be included in the course. It's like, you don't want to upsell like, hey, I'm going to show you how to make more money online, but now that you've bought this, here's conversion optimization. This course is going to, teach you how to, convert more sales through copywriting and optimizing your sales page and your order form. Like, that should probably be included in the course, right? So yes, but upsells are definitely a huge, huge thing that you should absolutely implement, and you're leaving money on the table if you don't. And then when it comes to structuring your course and just kind of figuring out how to lay it all out, I like to think of modules as steps. And kind of going back to what I was saying earlier, your course is designed to get somebody from where they are at now to the desired result. So what are those steps that somebody needs to take in order to get there? And those are your modules. So yeah.
No, I like that because it's interesting what you were talking about, price and a couple of these things, because I was in a mastermind last week and I didn't know going down, but several of them were big membership site owners with thousands of members each. And a couple of the things that were interesting is one of them, their last launch, they added 2,500 paying members and they're doing another launch. And we were basically like, well, do you have an upsell? And they said, well, we have a couple other courses that people can buy if they want, but they'd never done a one-click upsell. And so I love your kind of emphatic recommendation, just like absolutely 100% do upsells. And in their case, especially, they had like a basic, not basic, but like an in-depth course, but then they had these kind of, power up type things that, to your point, they didn't necessarily have to be in the main course for the person to get value from the main course. So the main course was good, but they were extras. They were for people to take it to another level. And so they were perfect to position as upsells. And, if you're getting 2,500 orders, you don't need a high percentage conversion to make some money on upsells. And so it was kind of like a aha moment for them, and they're doing amazing. So it's not taking anything away from them, but it's just like, yeah, upsells are amazing. And it was interesting to me too, that in this group, there wasn't, people weren't doing Tripwire stuff. And one of the groups was really concerned about their pricing. They were like, well, we want to do an 11% price increase. But kind of like you said, it's like, well, the thing is so cheap now, I'd rather pay more for it and feel like I'm spending my time wisely. Because if I spend $50 for something that I'm going to go through for so many hours, it's like, how valuable can it be? Just doing quick math in my head, if it's costing me between $1 and $5 an hour, I don't know if it's even worth my time at that point. So
right,
you raise a couple points.
And then just, basic human nature or logic. If I spend $50 on that, the pain of not accessing the value really isn't that big. I'm out $50 if I don't log in.
Right.
If I pay $1,000 for this course, now I'm like, okay, like I'm committed. So, same thing with, people have those sayings about free advice, right? It's like, hey, like it's your advice is only as worth as much as you pay for it. Or, like you will actually value something more if you pay a lot more for it. If you give something, if you guys just gave Memberium away for free, people wouldn't value it as much as if they're paying for it, right? That might not be the best example ever, but it's like people value what they pay for. People value their money, and if they're going to exchange money for something, like that's a sign that that they value that. If they don't have to exchange that much money, and like you said, if you're able to make $100 or $200 an hour consulting or doing whatever, and you just paid $50, are you really going to go spend an hour to go dig through that course? Or are you going to go make another $100 or $200, right? So it's like there's a little bit of psychology and just kind of human behavior that goes into pricing as well. And like you said, we're talking about, sometimes it's far better to charge a lot more for your course, just so people value it appropriately and actually would feel some pain if they don't actually go through it.
Yeah. And it's interesting too, because I think people get in their heads a little bit. So like a lot of people who are creating a course, they're doing a service. Their course is helping people with, let's say it's parenting or it's health or, like I mentioned earlier, quitting smoking. And they sometimes get hung up on this idea of like, well, I wish I could provide it for free to people because everyone should do this. It's going to improve their lives. And I feel like if I price it too high, I'm taking it away from people. And a lot of times the opposite's true. Like you said, if the price is higher, they're more committed to it. And I think also, this is a little bit selfish for the membership site owner, but you as a membership site owner, you don't always want those people who want the cheapest price. A lot of times you get a higher quality person, interaction, commitment, community. It starts to cascade. When you charge a higher price, you just get a better group. And if you really want to, you can have some sort of scholarship program where you gift it to people who are less fortunate. But man, there's so much psychology and pricing. And what I usually see is, especially membership site owners who are doing something that they see as a service to the world, in that same vein, parenting, whatnot, they do get hung up on that. And it's kind of a false idea that you're going to help somebody by making it cheap, or you're going to be able to serve more people by making it cheap, because you can't reinvest in your business. They're not as committed. Your product suffers, your client experience suffers. So yeah, I just agree 100%. There's a lot to it, but that's definitely something for people to consider.
And you can't help everybody. Like there's a lot of people that are in business to make an impact in the world, and that's always a good thing, and everybody should do that. But you can't be the bleeding heart where you would literally want to rescue every single person and just give everything away for free. In that smoking instance, obviously there's a lot of products and information and stuff out there. You can probably YouTube, how to quit smoking, and find 50 different videos that you want to watch. And there's probably a lot of good advice out there. So the information is already out there for free, but what you're paying people for is simplifying it, taking the 20% of all the information out there that's going to get them 80% of the way there. So like, what are the 3 big things that are really going to drive the results and get them quick wins so they see progress, they build momentum and keep moving forward, right? And you want to work with people, and you want people to buy your course who are committed to getting the end result and are going to become advocates of your brand. And I mean, I'm sure there's tons of quit smoking courses out there for $50, $100. I would charge $1,000 for that and guarantee that they get the result, because if somebody has a big enough pain point, they're motivated enough, and they see that you're confident that your process works and your information is the best process out there, give them a double their money back guarantee. If they complete your course and prove they went through the entire 8-week program, whatever it is, and that person is going to be highly motivated. They're doubling down. They're saying, yes, I want this result because I'm willing to part with $1,000. And it's not about having the cheapest online course out there. Like you want to work with people who are motivated and are willing to do the work to get the result. And sometimes price point can help you kind of weed out people that aren't truly motivated, and that you're going to waste a lot of time to customer support or answering Facebook comments, or are going to alter or taint your community with negative vibes, negative feelings, negative comments, things of that nature. One more thing really quick. That's one of the reasons why with Spiffy, we don't offer a free trial or have any free version of our product, which is kind of different in this day and age. There's so many people out there just giving away, free 14-day free trials, or, 30 days free, or having a free version of their product. And it's like, that's going to impact the level of customer service that we can provide to our paying customers. And we don't want this huge influx of people that are just in there to kick tires and end up canceling and quitting on the day right before their payment's supposed to go through after their trial. So we've intentionally not done that just so that we can provide a better service. We're confident in the value that we provide to our customers, and a lot of that can translate over to the online course space as well.
And there are so many nuggets in all of your answers. For anybody listening to this, I would recommend listening to this again and take some notes, because Mike's hitting on a lot of different things. So like I said, you could extract nuggets from every single answer, multiple things. And I want to be respectful of your time and just kind of shift gears a little bit here, because you've been really generous and kind of put on your thinking cap. And I think your expertise is invaluable to anyone who's starting a membership site on all of these points. I'm sure we're going to have you on again, but let's talk about Spiffy for a couple more minutes. So give us kind of in a nutshell what it does, and for people interested in that, how they should connect with you.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for having me on board. Thanks for those compliments. I appreciate it. So Spiffy, bottom line, it increases conversions of your Infusionsoft order forms. It makes them mobile optimized, conversion optimized, and we have a drag and drop builder that allows you to add custom content to your Infusionsoft order form. So if you're not using Spiffy and you're processing orders through Infusionsoft, it's almost a guarantee that you're missing out on sales from mobile traffic and even from desktop traffic too, just because your website, your order form might not look like your website. It, probably isn't optimized for conversions. It doesn't look like something that is trustworthy that you really want to put your credit card information into. So just put simply, Spiffy helps you make more money through optimizing your conversions on sales.
That's perfect. And how should people connect with you? I mean, do you have social media profiles? Do they just go to Spiffy? And if they have
so our website is GoSpiffy.com. And if you have any questions, our support email address is support@GoSpiffy.com. And as Micah kind of alluded to earlier, we work with a lot of the top online influencers and online marketers. We have an examples page on our website as well, GoSpiffy.com/examples. And you can see some of the people that we're working with. This year alone, we're super grateful and humbled by this. Like we never thought that we would be, processing these types of numbers this quickly. Spiffy's only been around for about 3 years. And this year we'll process over $120 million worth of sales. So,
wow.
Spiffy is tested, tried, true, and is definitely going to help you make more sales through your Infusionsoft order forms. And actually, we're rolling out an update this week. We're rolling out a template selector. So up until this point, you kind of had a drag and drop builder, and you could create whatever you wanted. But now you're going to have a starting point. So I've worked with Gabby Berenstein, Michael Hyatt, Eric Thomas, and talks with a couple other people right now. But those three specifically, we created their dream order form, adding all the aspects that they wanted to their order form. And we're making that template available and other templates as well that we've created just from our learning. So now you'll be able to start with a starting point. So you heard it here first on the Memberium podcast that, we're rolling out that template selector. So people are going to really, really love that. So thanks so much for having me on, Mike. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. And part of the reason, so it might have felt a little abrupt when we switched for those of you listening, because me and Michael could go on all day, but I'm definitely going to have him on again. And we're going to do a more in-depth case study video of his site once he's done launching this thing. And I'm excited to try it myself. So Michael, thanks so much again for joining us. We'll have you on again. You're a genius. I just loved it. Thanks, man.
Thanks, Micah. Talk soon, bud.